What is up? Welcome
Hello?
to week 2 of DLF Weekly. I'm excited to be here, be joined by Shane, be joined by Tyler. We are going to be going back through our 2020 redraft, picking up where we left off. But before we do that, I want to jump in and ask Shane, what's the most exciting thing that happened to you this week?
The most exciting thing, I got a lamp. I got a selfie lamp.
Oh my god!
So that my lighting's better, so I can do this now. It's pretty exciting. Hold on.
You finally got that lamp.
Change colors. Oh, now this is warmer, I guess. It's
you definitely
really
look more inviting.
Brings out my eyes.
Yes.
This is more of a foreboding, I think.
Mm.
And then this is I might be a Smurf. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go on a podcast on Tuesday. We were just talking about that, and I'm a little nervous about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You want to plug that, so people can find you there, or what?
I think the thing is, I'm still a little nervous. At some point, he's going to realize, he's going to look at my Twitter and be like, wait a minute. I got you so confused with someone else. I'm sorry. I thought this was Shane Hallam, or that's literally the only other Shane on Twitter. That's who you would think it could be. But, I'm supposed to be going on Pat Fitzmaurice's podcast on Tuesday night. Not tonight.
You're going to kill it, Shane.
You're going to do great. I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. Make sure you're paying attention to Shane's Twitter feed to make sure that you see it so you can go watch him and hop in and tell him hey, great job. Because I know he's going to do awesome. So now I have to be honest with you, Mr. Carp.
Yes.
I thought we were becoming friends here. I had to watch another podcast to find out your name's not Tyler.
We can talk about that later. But yes, I was on the GOAT District. I did 2.5 to 3 hours with John McGlynn about a lot of stories. That was one of them. You can go back and listen to it. I won't spoil it because it's too funny to talk about on this podcast. But I don't want to waste time. We have players to get to. We have a whole second round to do. That was a 20-minute story. Literally, it took 20 minutes to tell it. So
I don't even know what to call you now. So I just I don't know. Tyler, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But let's pick up where we left off. So I'll do a brief little recap as we pull the screen in, and I'll pull this down here so that if comments come in, I'm the one that gets covered up and nobody else. So I think we had a pretty good draft here. We had John Hellkamp on. It looks really good. Basically, there's a couple of places where I think maybe there was a little bit of a disagreement, but I think we all pretty much agree this was a really good order and a good top 12. So just to recap, we had 4 quarterbacks go. Obviously, it's the 4 you would expect. We had Justin Herbert go number 1. We had Joe Burrow go number 4. Tua went number 6, and then Jalen Hurts went number 9. So really interesting to see the 4 quarterbacks go there. Obviously, this is a super flex draft. And then, no surprise, with the running backs, Jonathan Taylor goes number 2. DeAndre Swift goes at number 7. Akers at number 8. Antonio Gibson at number 10. J.K. Dobbins at 11. James Robinson 12. So nice little running back run there at the end. Still, quite a few guys on the board that are interesting at the running back position. Wide receivers, we've seen Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and then that's it. A lot of wide receivers still to go here. No tight ends, obviously no surprise there. So let's kick the second round off because there's a lot of good options here. I'm really curious to see which direction you'd want to go here, Shane. If you have pick 2-1 and the board falls this way, what are you thinking?
Well, let's see. Took my J.K. Dobbins. Gibson's off the board. Who the hell do I want here? I did no research before this draft. I'm going to go Tee Higgins.
That's a good one.
Tee Higgins.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tee Higgins, obviously, I remember last year he was falling, and this is a pretty similar spot. We'll talk about he was going as the 12th pick off the board pre-draft, which is pretty close to where we are, obviously. I remember thinking he had a much harder path to targets than he wound up having, and obviously over exceeded. What would you expect for him going into 2021 now?
I mean, he averaged about 16 points a game with Burrow versus 11 points with whatever dudes they throw out there. Like, I don't even know half those people's names. I don't even think they're real people.
Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen, who is not a person, who is just literally a combination of two backup quarterbacks that we've heard before. And they just were like, yeah, no, this guy's really throwing on the ball. I don't think it really happened. I think it was a COVID fake. I'm guessing that it's 17 points a game. I'm not concerned if Chase gets drafted there. I think I'm going to be buying if he is because everyone will start fading him. I'm expecting low-end wide receiver 1 production from him. At worst, high-end 2. So literally like right there.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And I think, if Joe Burrow stays healthy the whole year, does he go even higher than this in a redraft?
I mean, it depends because, if he would have stayed healthy all last year. Yeah. There was that 3-week stretch there where he was the wide receiver 1. You remember they all took turns at some point or another, just like the running backs. It was CeeDee Lamb, and then it was Tee Higgins, and then it was just Justin Jefferson destroying everything. But if Joe Burrow stays healthy, we're definitely talking up Tee Higgins more than we are right now.
Love it. Love Tee Higgins. Love that he's going to have Burrow there. And I love that offense. Like Zach Taylor runs a bunch of plays. Like I think it makes a lot of sense for him to get a pretty high target share this year. So looking forward to him beasting out. Mr. Carp, Tyler, whatever your name is, you're on the clock here at 2:02. Where are you going?
I'll take Clyde.
Clyde. Okay. Now, you have written about Clyde recently, haven't you?
I've also written about Tee Higgins recently. You'll notice if you follow me on Twitter, you can just check on my article thing at the top. You'll see that I've written about a lot of these players. Yes. So I think people are overreacting on Clyde. He actually had a pretty good rookie season. He had 1,100 total yards, just 13 games played. The Chiefs let Damian Williams walk. They cut him. He signed with the Bears. They have Darrell Williams as the primary backup, but they didn't sign anyone significant in free agency. They could have signed someone like Leonard Fournette or Phillip Lindsay, and they didn't do that. So, yeah, I think people have soured on Clyde a little bit too much. He's not going to be the first-round dynasty, like, top 5 player that we wanted. That's probably not going to happen. But, I mean, at this point in the draft, there really isn't anyone who has his kind of upside or even his floor. I mean, he's in the Chiefs offense. He's going to get the lead role in touches. He'll be, at worst, a mid RB2 if he plays all the games. And, that's still valuable.
Why did we overreact? Well, did we overreact to him going in the first round last year? I mean, obviously we drafted him too high based on his production in year 1, but did we, like, from a dynasty perspective, like obviously Andy Reid had him as the best running back because he took him there. Did we overreact in taking him and picking him first last year too?
Oh, hi. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We did. I'm as guilty as everyone else in football that did it, fantasy football. Everyone that made him a first-round startup pick. We all got Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid hard-ons. Andy Reid did nothing but turn out RB1s, right? He's going to the Chiefs offense, and he's a pass catcher. Like, it was the perfect storm of narrative street. Like, it made us really overlook any flaws that he could have had. And that's not to say he was a bad running back, but it definitely made us overlook, like, oh, wait a minute, Jonathan Taylor's kind of like Saquon Barkley light, and DeAndre Swift was, he's never did anything to show that he shouldn't have been at least one of the top 2 running backs, and J.K. Dobbins was just a beast. But yeah, I fell into that, definitely.
I think my biggest mistake was I was assuming I forgot that Andy Reid could at times forget that he has a running back on his team, and he did that multiple times this year. What are you gonna say, Tyler?
I mean, yeah, I did it too, but honestly, I'm sorry it didn't work out. But I would probably this is not one of those examples where I'm going and changing my entire process because of it. I mean, he had the draft capital. Draft capital is usually the indicator you want to go based on. he landed in the good offense. That's often for running backs. That's the second indicator you want to go on. There's opportunity on the depth chart, which is third indicator you want to go on. I mean, yeah, it didn't work, but just because it didn't work doesn't mean I'm going to go and change my entire dynasty process because of it. I think it just didn't work out. This isn't like, I bring this up because I just wrote a whole article about how I would change my dynasty process about what happened with Keyshawn Vaughn, who we will not be drafting in this exercise, I'm sure. But CEH, I think, is more just one of those where it just kind of didn't work out. But I'm not losing sleep over that miss. I feel confident in the process that got me to taking CEH that high. And I would do it again.
I'm 100% with you. I think process over results. I think that's something that people are missing. I think there's a big crowd that's like, oh, we overreacted to landing spot, but it wasn't just landing spot. Like he had first round capital. He was the first runner back off the board. It wasn't simply Now, the example you gave, Keyshawn Vaughn, that was an overreaction to landing spot.
And that's what I learned, really. Like, I'm never going to get away from draft capital. I'll go down with it. Right. I'm fine with that. It's been proven. We have Peter Howard on our staff. It has been, you can go ask him. It has been proven that going based on draft capital is a very, very good plan. And I'm not going to stop doing that just because it didn't work out in CEH's case. But did we overreact to the landing spot and adjust maybe even more than we should have? Yeah, probably. So maybe I would have had CEH I don't think I would have gotten away from him at 2 behind Taylor. I think that's the best I could have done.
Heading into the draft, and this is why I think it was a process problem. Heading into the draft, he was pretty much everyone's RB5. At best, RB4, and maybe in front of Cam Akers. There's no way anyone in their right mind had him ahead of Taylor, Dobbins, or Swift.
Some people did. I wasn't one of them.
Yeah, well, Andy Reid did.
Andy Reid did. He did. So, and we did move him up based off purely landing spot, because if he would have went 30 to, I have no idea who drafted 30 or 30, who drafted before the Chiefs, whoever they were.
Yeah,
that team drafted him. I don't think we would have moved him up to be our RB1.
49ers?
49. Well, okay, that's a bad example then. Yes, we would have.
Well, what I'm saying though is last year, I remember having Taylor significantly ahead of everyone else, and then everyone else a lot closer. So if CEH had been the first running back drafted and the only one drafted in the first round, I'm probably not getting away from him as the RB2. I probably would have done it again. That's what I'm saying. I should have had him at 2, not 1. But that's really
fair. Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
I would have him at 2 again if I could go back in time. I don't see any way to get away from that in a process perspective, given the draft capital. It's so predictive.
That's fair. Comment here. Love CEH at his ADP, too high last year, but too low this year. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. He's still going ahead of Najee Harris, Miles Sanders.
I'm fine with him ahead of Miles Sanders.
Well,
I hate
Miles. I know. Well, that's unnecessary. You shouldn't hate people.
Especially
when he's better than CEH.
I hate his ADP. Put it that way.
Okay, I can't imagine taking him over Najee Harris. But
me neither. I would rather have Najee Harris as well.
Yeah.
When we figure out his landing spot, that'll change. Harris is going to end up being like if he goes to Pittsburgh, especially, he's going to be like a round 1, round 2 turn type player. He'll go early.
Yeah, I mean, I have Harris ahead of CH right now, even blind. So I'm fine with that.
Ed, I think he agrees with this.
Yeah, he's probably agreeing with
100%
ahead of CH. Did someone just donate money? Is this
I'm trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah, what is that? Is that like
Shane's son did?
What is it?
That's my kid, and if he's donating money, it's my money. So that's not cool. I'm going to have a talk with it. Yep.
Shane, I appreciate your donation. It means a lot. Just know from the bottom of my heart.
He got money on his green light card and donated it to, I guess, our YouTube channel.
I just had to point that out because I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen.
Me neither. So I was confused by it. So I'm glad you brought it up. We'll see. Maybe we can ask Addison that question. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. I'm not going to take Keyshawn Vaughn. I know that's a hot take. I'm going to take Brandon Aiyuk, if I can figure out how to spell the rest of his name.
Why UK?
There we go. And for me, it's just like I love what Brandon Aiyuk does after the catch. I think he's going to get an upgrade in his quarterback this in 10 days, and hopefully that will be really good for him in 2021. He can stay healthy and all that. Like, I think his upside is enormous. I love Brandon Aiyuk, and I think he's going to get a ton of targets this year and going to be really good. So, any objections to Brandon Aiyuk going here?
No, he's another guy that, you got. It's funny. We got these guys, not CEH, but we got Tee Higgins and Brandon Aiyuk last year because we slept on them. This year, you would get them in this range only because of how great this freaking class was and a couple guys moving up. But no, I love Aiyuk. He's a guy. I know a couple people worried that, he played with Debo being injured and Kittle being injured. He's a different player than Debo. Like, Debo's a running back, glorified running back, where Aiyuk can actually do, wide receiver things. So I'm excited to see Aiyuk.
It's the Kittle splits that are the bad ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and part of that is that when Kittle played, he was getting 17 targets a game from CJ Beathard. You know what I mean? So your splits aren't going to be great in those situations. That
is part of it. It's hard to ignore. And Aiyuk is what I would have done if I had been in that pick just now. It's hard to ignore his rookie production. He produced a lot, and he has first-round draft capital, which we know from the last conversation that I like that. I like to see that. That means that the 49ers have a big plan for him in their offense. He's gonna, they're not gonna go away from him or anything like that. He's gonna be a very important part with their new quarterback, who we still don't know who that's gonna be.
Well, speaking of that, we got a comment here from YouTube, and I'm curious what you guys think about. Does it matter who the quarterback is? So if they take Trey Lance, does that cap Aiyuk or others in San Fran, or if it's Mac Jones, or if it's Justin Fields, or whoever it is, do you think that whoever that quarterback is going to either upgrade or downgrade Aiyuk for you?
Well, if it's Mac Johnson, it's a downgrade because he's not going to be that good. No, I tend not to worry too much unless the quarterback is absolutely horrendous. He's not going to hurt a wide receiver that much.
It was horrendous last year.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo. When you go Jimmy Garoppolo, CJ Beathard, and Nick Mullins. Yeah, I mean that's way below.
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like beyond like replacement level. That's like whatever the level below that is. Like
that's disaster level.
Disaster level. Yeah, I think that's the official term. Yeah. No, I'm not too concerned, unless it's Mac Jones.
I'm not worried about Mac Jones at all. Yeah. I would think that Mac Jones is still a significant upgrade from Jimmy G, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him either. I think some of it is my faith in Kyle Shanahan more than it is anything else. Like, I think he has a plan for him and is going to use him. And what if it was Carson Wentz though, Tyler? What do you think about that?
Then in that case, I would be very unhappy. I do not like Carson Wentz at all. You will read my article is coming out very soon about how Carson Wentz's 2020 season was one of the worst quarterback seasons ever. It is bad. It's really bad. So no, that would be very unfortunate. But luckily, I'm hoping it will be Justin Fields. That would be nice. That's what I want it to be.
Yeah, Justin Fields would look nice there. Justin Fields would look nice on any freaking roster you put him on.
Well, the Jets are so stupid. For some reason they're deciding that they want to take Zach Wilson instead of Justin Fields. I don't really understand why they're doing that. But It's the Jets. I guess, why am I surprised that the Jets are doing something stupid? I should be not surprised by that.
Shane, I have a feeling we're going to go on a little bit of a wide receiver run here. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, because as I was thinking about who I'm going to take here, I gave you two of your own dollars. Yeah, my son's confirming he gave back money that he took from me.
God.
Circle of life. I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has not been drafted, right?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy at 204, which is ridiculous.
It is.
I know people are upset about his rookie year for some reason, as if it's his fault that half his passes weren't on target. Like somehow that was his fault. Yes, he dropped a lot of passes. He didn't do that in his entire college career. It's not something that he does. And you probably would drop a lot of passes too when they're shit passes, which most of his passes were. Now, Drew Lock is still there. How long is Drew Lock going to be there? I can't imagine he makes it past this draft, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jeudy here. I'm not worried about Cortland Sutton. I'm not worried about Noah Fant. I mean, there's the offense is good. Judy's going to be fine as soon as they get a real quarterback in there.
100%. Especially thinking about Dynasty, they're going to upgrade a quarterback here at some point. Hopefully soon, maybe even this draft. Just depending.
Oh, that would be nice. Because you cannot go into a season with Drew Lock as the quarterback. Didn't Jerry Jeudy, he was like second or third in uncatchable balls.
Yeah.
Percentage of uncatchable balls. Why could that have been? Only I could imagine why that happened. No, Drew Lock is, you talk about Carson Wentz, who I absolutely hate. Drew Lock is even worse. I mean, I've talked about that interview where it's just like, he knows he's going to throw the interception and throws it anyway. I'm like, no. That is not an NFL quarterback. They need to replace him immediately. I'm still hoping that they trade up with the Falcons to the number 4 pick. And, they'll still have their choice of Justin Fields or Trey Lance there. And I just think that would be a big upgrade over Drew Lock. And if they get one of those two players, I'm much more excited for Jerry Jeudy than with Drew Lock.
Well, and apparently Miami might be, yeah, they might be dealing out of 6 again. Not again. They just traded for it, but they might be trading out of 6.
They went down and then up, and now they want to go down again. That's a weird. It's a weird move, but that's what. Give them credit. At least they're being active. We always talk in our dynasty leagues. We want active dynasty managers, and they're doing it. So. Give Chris Greer some credit there, I suppose.
Yeah.
And look, you give $2 to the show. I'm gonna pimp your channel out here. Subscribe to my channel, okay? It's video time. Make sure he's doing great work here. Hi, subscribe to me, please. Yes,
we will do that. But yeah, I think that's we said enough about Jerry Jeudy, right?
Yeah,
we did.
We all like him.
We do.
It's a bad situation with Drew Lock.
Yep.
I will go with another wide receiver, Chase Claypool.
I like it.
Yes. Another one of my article subjects. I'm excited for Chase Claypool. He did what we wanted as a rookie. We want to see rookies come in and have production. He had 10 touchdowns in year 1? That big 4 touchdown game, 3 receiving and rushing. He displayed that big alpha receiver type. Like, that's what we want to see. That's when you're targeting someone in Dynasty, really, that's what we want, right? We want the big number 1 receiver who's going to be that difference maker downfield, catch touchdowns, rack up all those yards, that kind of thing. And he did that as a rookie. So at this point, I mean, given the upside, I think it's crazy that this draft is so deep that someone with Chase Claypool's traits and rookie year statistics, and he also had 2nd-round draft capital too, on top of that. So someone with all of those positive attributes is falling this far. And honestly, I can't really argue with most of the picks, really any of them before him. I can't argue with it. So it's just crazy that that's the point that we're at right now.
Shane, does it bum you out that Juju Smith-Schuster re-signed with them in terms of Chase Claypool's value?
It bummed me out on so many different levels, mostly for Juju. And then also because I traded for Claypool in a couple of leagues because I'm like, Juju's leaving. Wheels up.
Thank you, Daddy.
It's a year, right? It's 1 year. So I'm not too concerned. I mean, they all produced last year, really. maybe not, the level you wanted them to, like especially Juju. I believe he's a wide receiver 1, but I also believe he was injured last year. I'm not
Who
too
leads that
concerned.
team in targets next year?
Deontay Johnson.
All of them.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson would be my guess, but yeah, I think they're all going to have like really good target numbers too. So
I personally, I'm someone who's in on Claypool and Deontay and so out on Juju. So I think that you're going to see.
Jesus Christ, we just need to have a weekly show of me and freaking.
Let's do it. Let's have a weekly show.
Arguing.
We can have a weekly show. We can talk. I can do this all day. Let's do it.
Like, I think we should have a show on like your top 10 most hated players.
Juju's not in my top 10 most hated. But I just think that Claypool and Deontay are better players. That's all.
That's wrong, but I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, I appreciate your.
I don't know.
Look, I think here's the thing: all 3 of them are really good wide receivers. They just happen to all be on the same roster, which isn't great for fantasy. But one of them is going to move on next year, assuming Juju, the cap's not going to decrease again unless we get hit by another pandemic. And if we do, I think free agency will be the least of our concerns.
Yeah, well, we'll have other issues at that point.
Yeah,
I don't think we're not going to be worrying about this.
No, we probably won't be doing a redraft of anything because there'll be no electric grid. But anyway, I still like Juju, and I'm still hopeful that he's going to move on after this year and go somewhere that appreciates him and respects him and gives him the targets that he deserves.
He should have just signed with Kansas City. I don't understand why he didn't sign with Kansas City for more money.
I don't.
And now what? I don't get that.
I don't understand any football player that ever takes less money or gives back money to an NFL team.
Yeah, that to me just makes. Yes, I am very worried about Big Ben. I think Big Ben is washed personally.
They have Dwayne Haskins. So.
Oh, that is just so much better.
Josh Dobbs is back, I think. So
they still have Mason Rudolph.
There you go.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's
James, not don't worry, you're fine. We just named 4 quarterbacks that are on that roster, so they will start a quarterback. I'll start one.
If we do a dynasty game night, we're already 4 players down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep the wide receiver run going here, and I'm gonna go with another one that is getting a quarterback upgrade, and Laviska Shenault.
I love it.
I love what he can do. I love his versatility. I love his size. I love, like all those different things. I'm a little curious to see how he's going to be used with Darrell Bevel and Urban Meyer, of course. But like, you got Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you think about like just the upside from what you can expect from him. I mean, I know DJ Chark is there and they signed Marvin Jones, but like Shenault gives you something neither one of those guys can give you. And obviously with his youth and like learning the position, all those things, like I love, I mean, like somebody mentioned, we're 19 picks in here, and that's a tremendous value at this point in the draft.
Completely.
Yeah.
I love him. I couldn't be more excited for seeing him combine with Trevor Lawrence. I love Trevor Lawrence. I love Laviska Shenault. I'm all in on that selection.
No, Shane?
No. I like Shenault. I'm just thinking about my pick here.
No, I do think there's a good reason why Shane is thinking, because I think that Shenault is the end of a big teardrop.
No, absolutely. I think. I mean, if we're basing it off of what we saw in year 1, there's still another guy on the board, but there's upside.
Missing someone?
Pitts, but that's not fun. So I'm going to draft Jalen Reagor here.
You mean Pittman?
Pittman. Well, I call him Pitts.
Yeah,
that's his nickname, Pitts.
You can't draft Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Pitts is his nickname. I'll go Reagor. Yeah, I'm going upside at this point at 207.
Fair. Yeah. So it does seem like there's a massive teardrop from the first 18 to Reagor and forward to me.
To me, it ends at Chase Claypool. Like then it's like, all right, these
Yeah.
are more guys that I'm like, okay, well, I saw some flashes, or eventually we keep going. I saw absolutely nothing, but I still believe.
Yeah, I just include, to me, Viska, I include in that group just because we saw something. I mean, we saw 600 yards, 58 receptions. I mean, for a rookie, we have like crazy expectations for what a rookie is going to do. But like under normal expectations, he actually had a pretty good rookie year considering his quarterback play. Luton, we had Jake Luton and Mike Glennon throwing passes.
So
I was pretty happy with Shenault's rookie year.
Here's the thing: we're trashing Jake Luton and Mike Glennon. They played better than Gardner Minshew. I know Gardner Minshew's fun, and he has the jorts, and he runs around with a stupid haircut without a shirt on. So everybody loves him, but he was absolutely pitiful as a quarterback last year.
He was really bad. I do agree with that. I remember that. There's a reason he got yanked in the first place. But I like your Reagor pick. He has first round draft capital. I mean, they're not just going to quit on him, right? Like they quit on JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Like,
no. And the thing is, if you watch the two, very different players, obviously.
Oh, completely.
But Reagor, you could tell immediately from day one. You're like, oh, this guy isn't an NFL wide receiver. He should not be a starter. That's not what you saw with Reagor. Like literally the first game, he had a 50-yard reception, and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then Carson Wentz swallowed his head.
Yes.
Really bad. And then, the Eagles' offensive line was trash. And then the play calling, they decided, what we really need to do with a bad offensive line and a quarterback with the yips? We should run these really long developing plays that take like 5 seconds to develop. And like, for some reason, they never hit. I don't know why. I saw enough from him that I know he can play. There was a few 50-yard receptions. There was a punt return touchdown. I think it was against Green Bay.
There was a punt return. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There was a punt return touchdown, wasn't there?
Yeah. I saw enough of him to go, okay, he's not bad at football. His situation wasn't great, and he kept getting injured, which he didn't get injured a lot in college, and then he got freak injuries in the pros. Like apparently you have a UC joint. Yeah,
there was a thumb, right? There was a thumb. That was the start, and then there was a shoulder.
You have a UC joint in your thumb. Who knew that?
That's so random.
I didn't know that. I don't know why he even have one. Maybe if he didn't have one, he wouldn't have gotten injured. But yeah, I think it was the shoulder first, and he ended up actually healing from that quickly. And then he did the thumb thing.
The thumb happened
where it was some mystery tendon that doesn't even exist.
Well, we don't know if it exists. That's
allegedly.
We brought on an injury expert to the DLF team recently.
We should probably ask him if.
Yeah, we should ask him about these tendons that may or may not exist.
I don't think they're real. I think it's all fraudulent. I think it's made up. Now, I saw enough from him to believe that he's a very good football player. Very good's a strong word. I saw enough from him that he can be a good wide receiver in this league. He's electric. We'll see what happens with Hurts, right? Hurts cannot be worse than Wentz. He literally cannot be worse than Wentz.
That is true. It cannot be worse. It was so bad last year that there's only way to go is up, especially because when Hurts came in, the offense was better. The offense moved better with Hurts on the field.
And he seemed to look for Reagor too. Like that's just the way it appeared to me. Is like it seemed like he looked for Reagor and trying to get him the ball downfield.
Well, he actually looked for receivers. Wentz just looked nowhere and threw the ball and just hoped.
Wentz just running for his life.
Hurts actually looked for something.
And for what it's worth, it doesn't look like the Eagles are going to be getting a wide receiver in the first round, unless, of course, you believe today's newest thing is that they might move back up into the first two.
But I think they might get a receiver at 12. Someone could fall there.
It's more likely that they're going cornerback. If they wanted to go offensive skill player, they would have stayed at 6, because then you would have had your choice of Pitts and Chase, which how could you pass up either guy? Well, you can't. So you trade back and you don't make that decision. You just go, all right, who's the best cornerback on the board? Caleb Farley? Okay, we'll take him.
I've seen Waddle mocked there a lot.
So do I.
I'd like Waddle. Look, and if you're a Reagor guy, Waddle doesn't hurt him. I mean, the thing about the Eagles wide receiver core is there's no good wide receivers except for Reagor. And obviously the judgment's still out on him. But it's not like, of course. Yeah, I mean, they have Greg Ward and some other just Travis Fulgham, and it's ugly.
I feel bad for Reagor a little bit, because I think he's one of those players that might actually be good, and we just might never see it. Like he was screwed last year by random injuries and then Wentz, and now this year we're getting Jalen Hurts, who I think might produce for fantasy, but I think we're going to get a lot of the Ravens style stuff where we get a lot of rushing volume from Hurts. The passing volume is low, and we don't see a lot of like production from the Eagles receiving options. So I don't see a 1,200 yard season in Reagor's 2021, even 11,000 yards. Like I don't see that as realistic. So
I think you're 100% right on that. And to me, the key point there is the passing volume. Like I would not expect them to be in the top 15 in the league in terms of
top
passing
15
volume.
I think that they're going to be in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
I'll say they'll be in the middle quartile of the percentage.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to research what that means. Meanwhile, Tyler, where are you going on this next pick?
I mean, really, I had Reagor and Pittman like right next to each other. So Shane went with Reagor. So I will go with Pittman.
Okay. So Michael Pittman. Now that is a receiving core that certainly could use his help. Is it health? Is that the only real thing or is it Carson Wentz?
Well, it's the reason that I still have Reagor higher is because of Carson Wentz being there, who I dislike, and I would like him to be replaced as soon as possible. With that said, I mean, Pittman was decent as a rookie. He at least showed something at some point, but I don't know. The jury's still out on him. I think he proved, like similar to what Shane said about Reagor, I think Pittman proved that he can play in the NFL. I think that he didn't necessarily prove that he's very good or that he's good enough to be an alpha on that team. They did re-sign T.Y. Hilton, so I don't think that they're going to take a receiver. They've spent second-round picks on receivers the last 2 years in Campbell and Pittman. I don't think they're going to take a receiver in the first or really on day one or day two. They might take a tight end, but not – they could use a tight end. They don't have any. But I think Pittman will have a chance to be the number one receiver, whatever that's worth in a Carson Wentz offense in 2021. And at this point, there's just, he's the guy that I want, even if I'm not really that high on Pittman, to be honest.
Well, and I'm not necessarily high on this guy's situation either, but I'm going to go Denzel Mims on this next pick. I really liked him pre-draft. I liked a lot of what I saw. I don't know how I feel about Zach Wilson being his quarterback, of course.
I'm okay.
But I think Matt agrees with me. Mims over Pittman and Reagor. I think if Denzel Mims found himself in a different situation, we would think very differently of him. And I can only, at this point, based on who else is out there, take him hoping his situation improves in some way. And maybe Zach Wilson is a better quarterback than I'm expecting him to be. Or maybe they take Fields or something like that. And like
that would be nice, but they're not going to. They're going to be stubborn. They're going to be stubborn. But yeah, I agree with the Mims pick. It's what I would have done as well.
Shane, there's some really interesting names here.
Yeah, see, that's killing me because I'm thinking, well, it's a super flex, right? You should probably at some point grab Jordan Love, but I don't want to grab Jordan Love, and you can't make me. I think I'm going to grab AJ Dillon here.
That's what I would have done.
Look, we're at that point where we're taking shots on wide receivers, right? Mims and Reagor probably the most shoddy out of the last three that we just took. Dillon, I know he's blocked for this year, but it's only this year, really. They can get out of that contract after 2021 if they want. And if not, 2022, whatever. I mean, we saw what he did in one game. That was fun.
It was a good game.
Yeah, I've never really been an A.J. Dillon guy because, the pass receiving's not there. At least he hasn't shown it or wasn't given the opportunity to show it. But it's hard. He's the two there. Like Jamal Williams made that a flex spot during his career there. There was times when Jamal Williams could have started for you. Not many times, but it could have happened over the last couple of years. And AJ Dillon, I believe, is better than Jamal Williams. He's not as good a pass catcher, but I believe he's a better runner. So I'll take him here, and you hope that, look, if AJ Dillon does move on, or excuse me, if
Aaron Jones,
that guy. If Aaron Jones ends up moving on, I might just flip Dillon. Remember when you were able to move Dillon for those 2 days? You could get anything you wanted, anything you wanted in this world.
Please move him. Listen to me.
I traded him for Cortland Sutton and a 2nd-round pick.
Oh no, that didn't happen.
You probably got roasted. Your league was probably you sold low.
Yes, exactly.
I agree with Shane's choice. That's who I would have picked as well. I think you're getting the best handcuff in fantasy football because I think AJ Dillon is actually good. If Aaron Jones went down, I think AJ Dillon would be an RB1. And I think he might have flex value even when Aaron Jones is healthy, just like you said. So at this point, who else are you taking that's better? I think that this is a player you want on your team. He has 2nd-round draft capital. It's not like, he's going to get carries more so than some of the other handcuffs like Alexander Madison, for example. I think Dillon is going to have a bigger role than that. So, yeah, I'm totally fine with the pick here.
All right, where are you going here? Into the 2nd round.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with another one of the receivers that kind of failed in year one. I'll go with Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs. Any hope for him to be, have a bounce back year? I mean, with Nelson Aguilar gone and coming in year 2.
Sure, there's hope. I mean, he has 1st round. He was taken with the 12th overall pick in the draft. The Raiders are going to try everything to make him work because if he fails, they look stupid. They passed up on CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, for example. 2 receivers were available later in the round, and we see what they've done. And, they also passed up on other receivers who've looked better. And Jerry Jeudy was available. They could have picked him, and he was a lot better than Ruggs in his rookie year and better than him at Alabama. So I don't really understand why they went with Henry Ruggs, but they're going to do everything to try to make that choice look good and justify it. So even though I don't really like Ruggs, I'm not really in on his situation. Darren Waller eats up all the targets there and everyone else just kind of gets the scraps. But at this point, with the draft capital, there's no one else that I'm really that excited by. I felt like it was really the only move. I was hoping AJ Dillon would come to me instead, but no, unfortunately.
I'm going to take Jordan Love here. And a lot of it is just a matter of in a super flex, taking a quarterback who is at some point going to start. If he doesn't start this year, I think I read that it's the first time a quarterback taken in the 1st round doesn't start in the first 2 years.
Since Aaron Rodgers?
Since Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it was something like that. So at some point he's got to get on the field, right? I mean, at some point, otherwise, what is Green Bay doing? I mean, why? I don't know. They put themselves into a situation where I feel like he's got to see the field at some point.
What happened was, it's obvious what happened. They looked at Aaron Rodgers' career trajectory after 2018 and 2019 and thought that 2020 would continue along that trajectory, that he would continue to become worse. But that's not what happened. Instead, he became better. And now he's put them in this awful situation where really they refuse to kick the can down the road on his contract because then they're stuck with him. But because his cap hit is so large, they can't put any players around Rodgers. So they're in that middle area where they just kind of can't do anything. And that's kind of what happened with the Packers. But trading up for Love was stupid in the first place, obviously.
But it's actually smart if they're look, we're just going to this is a 1-year problem. This is going to be a 1-year problem. We're not turning it into anything more than that, as opposed to the Falcons who are you know what? Matt Ryan looked awful last year. pretty sure we should lock him up for the next 2 years.
Well,
And I know it's because of the cap or whatever, but just take the hit for the one season and be done with it.
But I'm saying those two teams should have done their decision making in reverse. The Falcons should have done what the Packers did and refused to kick the can down the road, taken a quarterback at 4, had Matt Ryan play in 2021 and then move on. And the Packers should have kicked the can down the road and committed to Rodgers for 2022 like the Falcons did with Ryan. Those two, neither of the decisions that those two teams made any sense.
No.
But again, this is rational. We assume rational GMing sometimes, and that is sometimes is a bad assumption to make. But with that said, I think Jordan Love was a good pick here. He was close to that point on my board. I do have a couple of other players that I might have picked ahead of him, but we're
Let's
not
talk
far
about
off.
who else you have. Who's the best of the rest? Because we won't go through another round here. Like, who just on your list here, Tyler, would be the best of the rest?
Are we doing tight? Is this tight end premium? Because no. That in that case, then if it were, Cole Kmet would have made this list around now. But since it's not, he's way lower. Gabriel Davis is up there for me. I really liked what he did as a rookie. He's paired with Josh Allen. We want people paired with Josh Allen. He's the main one. Darnell Mooney is also up there. But I think I'd rather Davis over Mooney just because Davis showed that it's more upside. Plus also he plays with Josh Allen and Darnell Mooney plays with Andy Dalton, which is just not very exciting for me. And there's a couple other players. I mean, I guess I could hang on to Zach Moss.
That's a waste.
Yeah, I think it is a waste. I agree with you. But after the 2 wide receivers I named, it starts to get really thin. We're looking at.
I would just I'm just grabbing tight ends at that point. I'll grab Troutman and Kmet in some order.
I'd much rather have Kmet just because we saw it. We saw him get on the field. He had 100%, 90% snap shares in the last 7 weeks, which is very rare for a rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends usually they're lucky if they see even a bit part role in year 1. And he had games where he played every single snap.
Yeah,
they went to 12 personnel for really to incorporate him into the offense, and because they thought he was better than having Anthony Miller on the field in the slot, which I agree with them on that decision. But I do like Kmet a lot, and Troutman as well. They let Jared Cook go. They didn't really sign any receivers in free agency, so he's got an open path. And I don't know. It's those kind of players that have a massive range of outcomes are always the ones you want late in drafts.
Shane, what about you? Who would be, I guess, next on your board here, or anybody else that wasn't already named?
That's it. I'm trading out after this. I'm just like, does anyone want these thirds? I'll draft next year. And then I would have gotten to this year and been like, oh my God.
There's a couple others that are worth a mention.
Van Jefferson?
He was not one of them. No, thank you.
He wasn't
Bryan Edwards.
Bryan Edwards. I mean, historically, day 2 wide receivers that don't do what he did. Yeah, I guess I can't say do what he did because he didn't really do much.
He didn't do anything.
Yeah, so it didn't do what he did.
Yeah. Lack of doing.
Yeah, they're usually DOA. And Van Jefferson, I mean, I was already low on him last year anyway. And then he came out and did nothing. And I was like, okay.
Out on Van Jefferson as well. So I completely agree. KJ Hamler, same thing. I was out before. I'm out now. No interest at all.
No, I like Hamler. What do you mean?
He's fun.
Why?
He's fun.
Why? What is Hamler going to do for us?
He's going to be your wide receiver 5, which is super important.
Yeah, not so important. I think
it's mostly just because I think there's a disconnect between if they wound up in a situation where they had a good quarterback. Pat Shurmur runs more 3 wide receiver sets than any other offensive coordinator in the league. It's going to put him on the field a bunch, and he would get a bunch of targets. And I actually do think there's some talent there that we just didn't get to see because Drew Luck's his quarterback. So it's more of he's free. He might even be on your waiver wire, and there's some upside there. Obviously, I didn't take him over any of these guys.
I just avoid profiles like that almost completely. Like the tiny slot receiver who's the 3rd receiver on the depth chart, like behind 2 entrenched guys way ahead of him who's never going to get any target volume. I just why? I don't what is that player doing for me in fantasy? I'm never going to feel comfortable putting him in my lineup. In a best ball, maybe, but in like a league where I have to choose lineups ahead of time, like I'm just never going to use them. So no value at all for me.
Any love for Darrington Evans?
No.
I mean, he should be on a roster. Like he should probably not be on waivers, but not really. No.
DJ Dallas.
McFarland?
Who?
I don't know Anthony McFarland. That breaks my heart, man. That dude got no run last year, and the path was there for it. Mm-hmm. So if he couldn't do it last year, that really concerns me.
He was inactive in the playoff game. Their season on the line, he couldn't even get on the game day roster. That's a very bad sign.
Yeah,
that's a bad look.
Yeah. Harrison Bryant's literally the only other guy I would even.
He's worth a mention.
Yeah.
And the tight end Hopkins in
that's
the Rams. He's another one.
Bryson Hopkins. Yes.
Yeah.
That is a deep one. I do think he could have opportunity because I don't think Tyler Higbee's very good. So maybe.
I got so burned on Tyler Higbee last year.
Me too.
So
I got very burned. I thought about writing
again. It's going to happen.
I thought about writing an article about the process of how that one went wrong.
I'm going to fall into the same trap.
I'll get a quote from you for that one. Oh, also, I want to mention Tyler Johnson as well.
Yeah.
They haven't re-signed Antonio Brown yet in Tampa Bay. So he looked pretty good when he got on the field from time to time. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to be able to keep Godwin and Evans there forever. So just another player, he should be on a roster. He shouldn't be on waivers. Just a flyer.
He's going to learn a lot from Julian Edelman, no doubt.
Maybe. I think Edelman's retired. But.
He retired.
No, I'm kidding.
His hands or something. I don't know.
But honestly, it was really interesting to watch Tyler Johnson earn Tom Brady's trust the way that he did. Like late in the season, he was looking for him on third down, which is I think there's been a lot of rookies where that's been true.
Yeah.
No, I like Tyler Johnson. That's actually a really good stash.
For sure. Yeah.
Especially at this point of the draft, in the third round. Look, you're not expecting a lot, but it's an easy path. You can see an easy path. You're like, well, all it really takes is a Godwin or an Evans injury, and all of a sudden there's a ton of targets available. Now, will they just play more 12? Will they just run OJ Howard and Gronk out there at the same time? Who knows?
Great too. They still have great also, right?
They'll run
so
three.
They have plenty of tight
end sets.
12.
Yeah.
But there is one more.
Okay.
Since we're talking about Superflex, and we know that I hate Carson Wentz, I do think you should put Jacob Eason on the back of your Superflex roster. Why not? You never know.
I don't know.
But those are the kind of players in Superflex that they should not be on waivers. They should be on your roster. Because even if I don't think Wentz is getting benched, but what if Wentz got injured? Yeah. Then Wentz gets injured, Eason enters the game, and he's actually good. Like, then you got a significant asset for nothing. So in Superflex, you should roster those kind of guys.
Then you could end up flipping him for, where we would draft him into the third round in this one. For an early third.
Like a third next year.
Yeah, whatever, which is fine. Make a profit on him.
You get a third from nothing. And then also LaMichael Pirine on the Jets. I expect the Jets to draft a running back, but if they don't, he might have some opportunity. Just another name, he should be on a roster. I don't have a lot of hope for him.
This was fun, guys. I think we did a good job. I think we put them in the exact order they should be in. It's no debate. Yep. Don't add us at all. It's the perfect order.
You can add Shane, at least. Don't add me.
Anything to say, please DM Tyler about it and make sure you argue with him in his mentions. But outside of that, I think that was a really good point where we could just go through and talk about some of these guys that are just, I don't want to say they're getting overlooked, but obviously the new rookies are what you're going to find on the front page of most websites right now. So we got to remember these guys and how good they are, and figure out how you can get some of these guys on your roster, no doubt, obviously. So make sure you check out dynastyleaguefootball.com. If you're not a premium subscriber and you're playing Dynasty Football, you are doing it wrong. There are a lot of amazing tools there. Check out the ADP. Check out, that's, in fact, looking through this, the ADP I was referencing came right there from Dynasty League Football. It's very valuable. There's a trade analyzer, and there are hundreds of articles from Tyler and from Shane that'll help you win your leagues too. So
mostly Tyler. For every one article that I've written in the past 3 months, Tyler's written 17.
So it's probably about right.
Math. Yeah.
With that,
I like writing. I'm sorry.
Check these guys out. Check out everything that they're doing. Appreciate you joining in, and look for us next week on DLF Weekly.